Amazing investment opportunities don't come along every day. Sometimes they only pop up every few months or years. But once in 5,000 years, that's unheard of, until now. I won't keep you in suspense. I'm talking about the interest rate markets. And here's why now has never been a better time to profit from them. Fact number 1. The winds of political change are sweeping through Washington like a Category 5 hurricane. Love him or hate him, Donald Trump won the 2016 presidential election, and he did so by promising to launch a gigantic wave of inflationary, budget-busting tax cuts and spending increases. Uncle Sam's going to have to pay for those programs somehow, and the only way to do it is by selling Everest-sized mountains of Treasury debt. Fact number 2. Trump's election follows an absolutely unprecedented, out-of-control stretch of mad scientist monetary policy. Central banks around the world cut interest rates more than 667 times in just a couple of years. Several lowered interest rates to 0 or even below 0. Fact number 3. When that wasn't enough, they promised to buy hundreds of billions of dollars in bonds issued by their home governments, regardless of price, rate, credit quality, or anything else. The overall tally? More than $12 trillion of global QE. Fact number 4. Given access to no-limit credit cards by their central bankers, governments around the world did exactly what you'd expect them to. They went on a borrowing binge unlike any other in history. They issued bonds with maturities as far out as 100 years into the future, and offered investors virtually nothing in interest too. As a matter of fact, demand for bonds got so out of control during the bubble days that a whopping $14 trillion in government and even corporate debt traded into negative territory. That's totally nuts, like lending your cousin Vinny $1,000 and him agreeing to pay you back $950 in 5 years for the trouble. So what does this all mean for investors like you? Well, my name is Mike Larson, and I'm a senior analyst at Weiss Ratings. I've spent my entire 20-year professional career following the markets closely, with a special focus on interest rates, real estate, and personal finance. I've seen a lot in those 2 decades, but I've never seen anything like what happened in the last couple of years. It was absolute 100% certifiable madness. And here's the most shocking thing of all. One team of highly respected analysts crunched the numbers, pored over reams of data, and concluded that we had literally never seen anything like this in the entire 5,000-year course of recorded human financial history. But just like the great Roman, Greek, and Mayan empires passed into the annals of history centuries ago, or just like Tsarist Russia fell apart in the early 1900s, this unprecedented, low-rate regime, one 5,000 years in the making, is now collapsing. The U.S. Federal Reserve has started raising interest rates for the first time since 2006. Foreign central banks have started to backtrack from QE. Bond investors have collectively woken up from their madness and started dumping the very same bonds they couldn't get enough of before last summer. And of course, Trump has taken our nation in an entirely different political and economic direction. In sum, we're seeing a significant changing of the guard, the end of the old low-rate era, and the beginning of something entirely different. It has set the stage for the greatest interest rate cycle in 5,000 years, with virtually unprecedented risks and opportunities for investors like you. This is no untested forecast of an uncertain future. The Titanic shift is already underway, with significant impacts on the markets and the wealth of investors everywhere. Just look at this chart showing the 10-year Treasury note yield from July through December of 2016. You can see that yields exploded from around 1.33% to 2.62%. That's no small move, it's a 97% surge. Bond prices move in the opposite direction of bond yields, so during that same time period, the $1.3 billion Vanguard Extended Duration Treasury ETF, ticker symbol EDV, lost 27% of its value. The $5.3 billion iShares 20-plus year Treasury Bond ETF, or TLT, lost 19%. Even the broadly diversified $42.2 billion iShares Core U.S. Aggregate Bond ETF, or AGG, shed more than 5% of its value, a hit of $2 billion in just 5 months. Now what about those ultra-long-term government bonds I mentioned earlier? Well, the 100-year bond that Belgium sold in May 2016 at a coupon rate of just 2.3% plunged 29% in just 6 months. If you bought 10 million euros worth of those bonds, you'd be left with just over 7 million euros only a few short months later. For its part, Austria sold 70-year bonds in October. They've already tanked more than 17% from their high. A Mexican bond that doesn't mature until 2115? It's down 21% in only a few short months. In fact, bond losses were so widespread in late 2016 that every single bond index in the Morningstar database dropped in the fourth quarter. As a result, full-year returns on stock funds trounced bond funds by a 3.5 to 1 margin. But here's the thing. If you knew how to properly analyze the interest rate markets and got positioned in advance for the changing cycle, you could have made a killing. One leveraged ETF that rises in value when bonds fall soared 72% in just that short 5-month period. For investors comfortable with the risks and opportunities of options, the gains could have been far greater, up to 206%, 343%, and 450%. And that's only in the initial phase of this mega cycle for interest rates, one that should last for several more years. Changing interest rates also have the power to fuel or crush corporate borrowers of all types. WorldCom, Enron, Lehman Brothers, they all collapsed after their cost of borrowing went up, costing unprepared investors in their shares staggering amounts of money. But if you positioned yourself in investments that rise in value when stocks fall, you could have made an absolute killing. Now, investment portfolios aren't the only thing impacted by this greatest interest rate cycle in 5,000 years either. Your mortgage, your car loan, your credit card, home equity line of credit, or any business or commercial real estate loans you might have now or want to take out in the future, rising interest rates impact all of those products too. In fact, just thanks to the recent rise in rates, the monthly payment on a $300,000 30-year mortgage has surged $147. The total interest bill has soared by $53,000. That's thousands and thousands of dollars out of the pockets of unprepared borrowers. But borrowers who are primed and ready for the mega turn in rates are now laughing all the way to the bank. Now do you see why the greatest interest rate cycle in 5,000 years is such a once-in-a-lifetime profit opportunity? Or why it can affect so many different parts of your financial life? I'm sure you do, and that's why I poured my heart, soul, and 2 decades of interest rate experience into a hard-hitting, information-packed educational course. It's called How to Pile Up Profits from the Greatest Interest Rate Cycle in 5,000 Years, and it's available for immediate download right now. In this course, I'll cover the 4 deadly risks for interest rate investors and how to avoid them, the 5 mainstream myths about rates that fool unprepared investors to this day, and the 6 powerful forces that drive interest rates up and down. I'll also tell you about 7 completely free economic reports that you can use to divine the next direction of the rate markets. Meanwhile, I'll dissect each and every subsector of the interest rate market, telling you when you should buy and sell which classes of bond ETFs and mutual funds, as well as why. I'll get you up to speed on every single investment vehicle that allows you to profit from rate moves, from mutual funds to individual bonds to leveraged ETFs to interest rate futures and options. Each offers unique opportunities and risks and shouldn't be ignored in this changing rate environment. Want to know when to take out which kind of loan and why? How you can cut your mortgage costs, lower your credit card bills, and maximize the interest you earn from your penny-pinching neighborhood banker? That's in the course too, and it could literally put thousands of extra dollars a year in your pocket. Finally, I'll share my top 5 investment recommendations. Recommendations designed to help you pile up profits from this gigantic market cycle. And I'll keep you updated on those investments over the next 12 months. making sure you know how they're faring, which changes you should make, and more. To enroll and gain access to all those features, to this wealth of interest rate knowledge, advice, and expertise, all you have to do is click on the bright green button below. Or if you prefer, give my customer service team a call at 1-800-393-1706. I'm confident that taking this step will be one of the best financial decisions you'll ever make. For Weiss Ratings, this is Mike Larson. Thank you for watching.